Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest. Going all the way to Jersey, all the way to Jersey, to talk to a beautiful young lady named Jennifer Vinges. And her story is such a beast mindset because when you think about that beast mindset, it's about that transformation and overcoming obstacles and motivation and inspiring. Today's story is a must because all of it is there. But let's go deeper. Imagine, if you will, patterns and trying to find ways to recognize patterns. And more importantly, we all have them. Some are good, some are bad, some are indifferent. Sometimes we don't even realize we have patterns. But when we do, the question is, how do we develop the tools to recognize what they are? And then more importantly, how do we get out of it? Today, we're going to talk about the creation of a book called H3O Method and how it came to be. And more importantly, how this beautiful young lady was able to take a childhood illness and basically allowed it to transform her into who she is today. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jersey. You know, I don't like going to Jersey, right?
You can't take the Jersey girl out of me.
As soon as I heard the voice, I was like, Jersey. I'm like, what am I going to get today? Am I going to get sassiness? Am I going to get boldness? Like, what's the pattern today that I'm going to get?
Oh, you know what? My 16-year-old Jersey girl would have given you sassiness, but the 51-year-old version has experienced life and the travels, and I'm just going to give you pure love and joy today.
I can always use the pure love. And before we get started, Jennifer, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are before we get into your story.
Well, so I'm a minds and body coach. I've been that for the last 29 years, and it started with my own anxiety, my own struggles as a child growing up with asthma. And if you've never had asthma, I always say it feels like an elephant is sitting on your chest with their hands in front of your mouth. So you're trying to breathe and do all the things, and it's very frustrating. So in that frustration, I found the gym. But when I walked into the gym, you'll have to, remember Jack LaLanne?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So we had a Jack LaLanne across the street from us.
I'll show our age, but yeah, I remember that guy.
I love that guy. So we had this gym across the street from where I lived. And at the time I walked across the street, my parents had to sign me in because I was only 16, and I walked in and it had a pool. So you get a whiff of chlorine, right?
Yeah.
And then there was this cute little girl section. And then you walk downstairs and it was like this dark room with like metal and leg press. And it was, for whatever reason, it was intriguing to me. It was freedom. But when I got down there, so many people had so many different ways to work out. And it was clear to me that either one person in the gym was right or nobody in the gym was right.
Right.
And so at that moment, I decided I needed to learn about this. And at 22, I became a certified personal trainer. And that took me on my journey of personal training, nutrition, yoga, mental conditioning, coaching. Because here's the thing, I was getting stronger physically, but I still was suffering asthma because I hadn't dialed in my nutrition. And then when I dialed in my nutrition, I was still angry. I was like, how am I doing all these things and I'm still angry?
Right.
I didn't realize until I got to yoga that we could actually train our mind.
It took time to realize that.
Yeah, I was blown away. I was like, wait a minute. You mean I can train my mind like I train my muscles?
Yeah.
And I went on a deep dive, and that's where the book comes in, because the H3O is, I teach to three bodies: the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional spiritual body. And once those aligned and I got them good, I was like, oh, that's why you're not getting a Jersey 16-year-old. You're getting the Jersey girl who has experienced the alignment of aligning all those three bodies every day: the peace, the joy.
Let's go here because I'm a firm believer of those three concepts, being a professional bodybuilding, professional athlete for years. Like yourself, I had to go on that journey. I went through the journey of physically challenging my body. It took me a while to understand I had to also challenge the internal, which is the food that I was taking in.
Hmm.
And then later, I understood I also had to develop the mental capacity. But there was, with that mental capacity, the enlightenment came when the spiritual came, and they all resonated and empowered each other. They start working in synchronicity, is what I might call it. So let's go here with you, because this is your story. What's that like suffering for years with asthma? You know, because growing up, I saw my peers that had asthma, and I really didn't pay no attention. They when they were getting attacked, they would put the. I even saw one of my best friends, Victor Edwards. He had asthma, and he ran track and field. And he would like puff his thing, and I never understood the ramifications that he could have died. You know, but what were some of the challenges that you had to deal with? And at that time, was anybody really studying what it was like to be in your shoes?
No, it was very honestly, it was very lonely because I could see all my friends playing sports and I wasn't allowed to play sports. I couldn't play sports with them. And I just remember being honestly, I even had so I had the puffer, but I also had a nebulizer at my house.
Mm.
We had a nebulizer ever, so I had that, and then I was also in the hospital frequently. And then when I was around 16, I was going through my hormonal changes and I chemically overdosed on theophylline. So I remember not being able to stop throwing up. And it was a pivotal moment in my time. I had to drink charcoal to stop throwing up. Could you imagine that? Drinking charcoal and you're throwing up. And I remember that at that point, I was like, I never want to throw up again in my life. And I never have. And so that was another turning point. Like I really had to figure this out. It was it was such a lonely experience. I was so different. I remember going, and I write about this in the book. I went away to a camp with my cousin, who is my best friend, and we were so excited. Right, you're going away to camp. You're away from your parents. You're going to go have fun. And as soon as they found out I had asthma, they put me in the nurses unit, and I had to sleep with the nurse instead of my cousins in the dorm area. So again, it was like another moment that my asthma had isolated me from being a kid. And again, feeling so alone on that journey. So there's so many like aha moments, like talking about the book and writing the book, but that's another turning point of why health has been so important to me.
How much information and knowledge was available at this time, and how informed was your parents? Because a lot of times parents just, even today in today's society, a lot of us don't take accountability for our own health issues. I tell people, when you go to the doctor, you got like maybe 10 minutes. You need to already have formatted exactly what's going on
Hmm.
with you to details. Because if not, they're going to treat what you tell them. And if you minimize it, they're going to minimize the situation. But to go back to you, how informed was this study of being having asthma?
That's a really great question. I think my parents, like all parents, did the best that they knew how, but I think they were also really scared. And so even growing up, they were scared. When I finally started really taking care of myself and started running, I remember my mom's like, "You have asthma, you can't run." And I was like, "Oh no, 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 I'm okay now." So they did the best that they knew at that time, but they're like going back to what you said, there wasn't that much available information. It was honestly, it was here's a pill, here's a machine, here's don't do this, don't do that. So it was all I call it patching the problem and not really getting to the root of the problem,
Right.
which is the nutrition, the mindset, and taking care of the body.
And I can honestly say that this is a serious issue that I'm glad that you have wrote the book that you're coming clean with, because NFL football Super Bowl star Ickey Woods, Albert Ickey Woods, has a foundation. I think it's called the Javon Foundation. His son died from asthma.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's how serious.
Oh,
I had no idea about it until we had him on the show and we became really good friends. And he started a foundation based on the fact that his son had it. But what he didn't know
mhm.
was several family members in his family had it. So did other family members in your family had, because nobody knew about it.
Mm-mm. My aunt had it on my dad's side, but she was the only one. So nobody in my mom's family or my immediate family had asthma except for me. So it was this new thing, and they didn't, like I said, they really didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
Mhm. Now that you've, let me clear something up so the viewers can understand. You still have asthma to this day. It's not something that is going to go away. It's genetically you've got it, but you know how to maintain it to some degree without what, a whole bunch of medicines and so forth. What's the trick here?
What I'm about to share might blow your mind,
Blow my
and I
blow my mind.
and I'm a true believer. Um, because of the work that I've studied, I truly believe our body has the capability to heal itself. And so I no longer have asthma. I've ran many marathons. I've competed in many sporting events. And because of my lifestyle and my habits now, I can honestly say that no longer have asthma. There's no longer a time that I have difficulty breathing or ever worry about having an allergic reaction to breathing now. I never thought I'd be able to say that
Right.
growing up, but like I said, because of all the work and the studying that I've done, and all the self healing that I've seen in other people that the body can do, I 100% believe that I know my body is healed from asthma.
What was the defining moment? Because let's get real. You don't have too many close encounters with asthma. Now all of a sudden you're taking that leap of
Hmm.
faith. What did you test out to make sure? And did you put safety precautions in place just in case? I mean, it's cool to believe.
Hmm.
I believe in your concept. Trust me. But let's get real.
I love that you asked this question. And honestly, this is what I teach. And this is what I teach in the book. I teach the concept of 5 minutes.
Okay.
We can, and even break it down to a minute. We can do anything for a minute or 60 seconds or 30 seconds. So, how I tested my asthma, I simply said, I'm going to run to that telephone pole and see how I do. And if I ran too fast, my lungs got a little bit too much. I got winded, right? And I was like, all right, well, let me walk a little bit and let me try slowing it down and run a little bit slower so I can have a conversation still, but get to that telephone pole. And I did it. And I was like, well, okay, if I can get to that telephone pole, can I get to the next telephone pole? And so week by week, I went to run telephone pole to telephone pole to telephone pole. And then I ran my first 5K. And then I told my mom.
And your mom said, "What, girl? Are you crazy? Do you know what you're doing?"
Yeah. And then when I ran my first marathon, she goes, "You're not doing that again, right? You have asthma." And I was like, because she couldn't see the progress behind the scenes that I was doing. And I was dialing in my nutrition. I was really paying attention what foods would trigger my asthma and what foods would like make my body tired and weak and what foods gave me fuel. And I started to look at foods as like, oh, they're actually my friend. So what's going to give me more energy? What's going to help my body? And so instead of having this love, like this hate with food, because let's face it, I was a girl growing up and I wanted to be thin, right? So everything I looked at, it was like an issue with me.
Mhm.
I looked at food as, oh, what can this do for my body? And so I just started with the nutrition and really just started testing the body. And it's like, okay, I can do this. Can I do it again? Oh, I did it again. Can I do it again? And then I just built up my lungs to the point that I ran the first marathon, the second marathon. And I was like, ooh, like you, what else can I do?
Right, right. My question here is, and I'm not trying to make you give away all the secrets in the book because I also teach nutrition. I tell people also when you're exercising, I always tell people have a conversation. If you can't carry on a conversation when you're exercising or running, you're not you're not doing it right. You should be able to be comfortable and carry on a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go here for a minute. I'm trying to put it in the right words. So people buy the book. What were some of the foods that you had to let me go back. What were some of the foods that were detrimental to your progress? Because I tell people food is your friend. You just need to know what those friends are and what they do to your body. So, what was the ones that was preventing progress, and name the one superfood or two superfoods that really made a difference?
Well, I found, well, even growing up, like a lot of dairy was, like wasn't sitting well with me. And when I was, the hospital would say, don't eat dairy because that'll trigger your asthma kind of thing. So got stuck in my head. So I don't really eat dairy as much. At processed foods, when I started changing processed food, I thought a bagel with peanut butter was a great alternative, right? And for me at that time, it was a great alternative. But then when I started really learning about nutrition, and I went from that bagel to making my own homemade granola, to then going to eggs, to then protein. So it was like this progression of, oh, well, that's not really feeling good in my body. Let me try this. That feels okay, but I'm still not there yet. And so it was just little by, I call it baby steps, right? I baby stepped my nutrition to where it is today. And if we're going to talk about superfoods, the one thing that I tell, especially well, everybody, but 2 years ago, I really dialed in, and I started looking at the proteins that I was eating, and I started tracking. Like, I always knew I should be eating protein, and I did eat protein. I took protein shakes, but I wasn't tracking my protein. And when I started tracking my protein and dialing in how much protein my body needed, my body shifted in 1 year. I got leaner. I gained on the scale. So my body weight went up, but I got leaner, and all I did was change how much protein I ate, and I ate more. So I ate more protein, and I trained less but more intensive, and my body incredibly changed with less work. And so if I'm going to get any superfood, that is my superfood. Know your protein numbers and dial them in and make sure they're clean proteins.
Is it 1 gram per ideal body weight? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I do a little bit more, but yes, that's what I recommend to my clients.
Now, what I love what you said about that part of the exercise regimen. People say, "Well, Andre, how long do you exercise?" I said 30 minutes.
Me too. That's it.
I said when I was young and dumb,
Yeah.
yeah, I was in there like, more is not better.
Hmm.
Quality is much better. Rest is much better. And I'm glad that you mentioned the protein, because I tell my clients, especially females, if you're having a problem with your weight, it's always your nutrition.
Hmm.
It's not so much your exercise regimen, because you have to first start with the foundation. What are you putting in to your body? But let's go back here. Let's go back here. Let's go back here. What you did, I don't want people to get confused with medical advice. So I'm trying to word this where it makes sense. You took accountability and researched your own diagnosis. You knew enough to monitor with baby steps, but let's get real. You're not telling the people who have asthma to follow your regimen. They need to first consult with a physician. And
Absolutely.
okay,
And I was still on all my medication. I was still on that, but I look at this and I tell my clients who have whatever medical issue, obviously get clearance from a doctor first, but I don't think it's ever bad advice to look at your nutrition. If you can clean it up and start to clean it up, I know overall we'll feel better, right? If we eat better, we feel better. And so I would suggest to people is, I call it like adding things. I never want somebody to take anything away from me. The first time someone says don't do something, I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh, I have to do it now. Like, I guess that's the rebellion Jersey in me.
you said you took the words right out of my mouth. I didn't want to say that. Thank you for clearing that up.
So I always say, like, this is my journey, but my journey was it's, I call it self auditing. I self audited my life, and I wasn't happy and I wasn't healthy. And that's all I want. And that's my message. And that's what the book is. It's Hacks for Health and Happiness. Because at the end of the day, I just want to be happy and I just want to be healthy. And I reached that through my nutrition, through my mindset, and through exercise.
let's go here. Let's talk about these different methods. Let's talk about the struggles with health, happiness, and honesty, and to stop fighting with yourself. Let me recap this part. So all the three methods have a tendency to go hand in hand. You can eat healthy all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You can exercise countless hours of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you still have environmental factors, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all the emotional traumas that we deal with, meaning in relationships, love affairs, work, family, you name it, is there. You struggled at one point with uh, honesty, happiness, and health. How did you how did you turn that part around to amplify the three steps in H3O?
I love that so much because it's been one thing that has honestly changed my life. And I decided years ago the only thing that I know I can do is just keep showing up for myself. It doesn't matter how I feel. I have non negotiables for myself to ensure my health and happiness and keeping my promise. So, getting back to you're right, you can eat well, you can exercise all day long. But the moment you break your promise, you're saying to your subconscious, you can't be trusted. And at the end of the day, I have to trust myself. And so I trust myself by showing up every day and keeping the promises that I make to myself. And that has been by far the biggest game changer in my life.
What's the biggest negotiable? And I think people need to understand what that means. I call negotiables. These are my boundaries.
Yeah.
I don't call
So,
it a safe place. These are my boundaries. You don't
yeah.
get a chance to enter that, whether you're family, friend, or foe. If you mess that with, then you mess with me eternally.
Yeah.
I have that in my space. So, what is your definition of negotiable? And then, to me, what are two negotiables that no matter what? Because let me tell you something, love can make negotiables kind of move to the side a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes, and that's called the red flag. And then you go, well, I knew I shouldn't have did that. But what are two of your negotiables?
Negotiables meaning things that I have to do every day.
Yeah.
So, and every day I wake up, I have my protein coffee, I meditate, I read, I exercise, and then I walk my dogs. Those are my non negotiables. I have to and want to do them every day. So that once those are done, I start my day and I will do whatever. I have clients, I'll do help, whatever. But those are my insurance policies for myself, getting my walk, knowing my dogs are taken care of. I'm a big dog person. I rescue dogs. I love dogs. I feed, make my dogs foods. Like their health is just as important as my health. So their walks are just as important as my exercise. So that is my negotiables. And my husband even knows now, he knows not to interact. No, he goes, I know you're going to go walk the dogs. I go, yep, I'm going to go exercise. I'm going to do all my things and then I'll do whatever you need done.
Now let's go here. Let's use this word. Excuse me. Honesty. That's a big word. That's the first time I heard that out of the 2,000 and some podcasts that I've done. I never heard somebody use this word, honesty. Explain what that means as it relates to you, your human, and H3O, and more importantly, relationship because you're married. And I think by you saying that this was a major struggle here because honesty reflects a whole bunch of your inner circle and people you
Mm-hmm.
communicate with.
Honesty is for me, I say at this point in my life, I feel like I've never lived up to my true potential because I was always trying to cater to somebody else, or I never wanted somebody to not feel good because of something I was doing. And when I look at that and knowing now what I know, I wasn't being honest or true to myself. So it goes back to that conversation, that internal conversation. So honesty to me is like, I do it, like I said, the self audit at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I reflect on some questions and it's like, did I show up 100% the way I wanted to? Was I present in all these situations? Did I give my best foot? Was I listening fully in the conversations? And so when I'm saying honesty at the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, no, Jen, you really weren't paying attention. Or, you know what, Jen, the energy you had with that conversation, you could have done better. And so that's what I mean by being honest. I'm being honest with myself. Like, I could have done better in that situation and I know it. And so that's like a raw, like, ooh, okay, not you did wrong, but like that honest self reflection at the end of the day. How can I do better?
Let's talk about recognizing patterns. Um, because when did you realize that you were repeating the same patterns?
um, I almost don't want to share this story, but it's such an important story.
Playing that old Jersey keep the secret on this show.
So my mom, 2 years ago, I was coming out in social media more, and I was sharing more of my spiritual journey. And we all have our definition of our higher person is it's different for everybody else, and my wording was apparently different than my mom's. And so my pattern with my mom is she used to get upset with me, hang up on me, and I used to get upset and sulk and then try to win her love. And it would just be this hot mess. And 2 years ago, I was going to Arizona, had a conversation with my mom. She wasn't happy. She hung up the phone, and I felt myself get upset. And I go, oh, 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 she's in a pattern of being upset with a decision that she doesn't agree with me because I'm doing something that was elevating my business at the time. And that was scary for my mom. And so she got upset, and I almost got into her pattern, but I was like, my pattern was to join her pattern, and then we do this dance of she's upset, I'm upset. And at that moment, I realized there was a pattern, and I said, I'm not participating in this pattern. And so I didn't react the same way I normally would have. And in that changed our whole relationship because I was able to see the pattern that we had, and I was able to interrupt that pattern and create a new pattern, a healthier pattern for us.
Explain how it changed.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by that. Self awareness of you is not self awareness to the other person. So, how did that change, and how did she change your mom? We know you did, but how did your mom change? Because your mom don't recognize the dance.
No, she doesn't recognize the dance, but the reaction wasn't the same. I wasn't calling her, trying to win her over or to apologize because there's really nothing for me to apologize. It was a pattern. And so when that didn't happen, she was kind of taken back and she was kind of didn't know what to do. And so she got to sit a little bit. And then normally I'd come back to her upset, but I didn't. I just came back to her happy.
What was her reaction when she did? Did you see a shift in her? Because, like you said, she has to change something. But
Yeah,
you're not.
because that wasn't the first pattern we interrupt. Once I realized there was patterns with my mom, I was like, okay, let's do it now. Let's make this the best relationship. And so when I started to see other patterns that I could interrupt through breathing, getting my nervous system back where I could act. I say act instead of react, right? Because when we can act, we can break the pattern. When we're reacting, we're still in the pattern. So when I was able to act a lot of times with her, it kind of shook her and it broke her pattern because then I was interrupting our pattern. So it made our relationship so much better because now there's a different understanding. I feel like when you are in an argument with somebody, you're yelling, they're yelling, and you don't get anywhere. But if somebody's yelling and you don't,
Yeah.
you break that pattern.
What was another tough pattern for you to break? Because patterns usually comes in a wave. It just
Oh,
one particular.
it's like, whew.
Yeah, yeah. What was enough? And the reason I'm asking this is so the viewers can understand that. I tell people all the time, we all have the same common. We're all the same. We're all connected. So if
Mm-hmm.
the story sound familiar,
Yeah.
it might be for you to change the record. Then,
Yeah. The biggest and one of the deepest rooted patterns I recognized and changed and still work on it today, if I'm being honest, was worth, not worthy of. And when the book come out, like my old story was I wasn't worthy of success, I wasn't worthy of this, and then I was like, oh, Jen, you're learning all these patterns. That's another pattern. And like you said, when you have these awareness, it's like I said, I'm telling the same story. If I'm telling the same story, it's a pattern.
Right. And it's funny because, which we're going to get into next as we wrap up, we're going to get into that spiritual plane. I found this to be the most powerful part of the journey of that beast mindset. And I'm not talking about Christianity, Islam. I'm talking about a spiritual, emotional high that we all have. And a lot of times we don't dig deep enough to question because we're so trapped in the institution of religion that we're afraid to go out of, like you said, to break that pattern of, well, I always been a type of person say, what if?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what if that's not true? What if I can do this? Kind of like what you said. I am worthy to have
Mm-hmm.
it. I do deserve this. Changing the wording usually changes the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go here with you. You open up Pandora's box. I'm gonna let you go. So,
um,
right, what about that spiritual plane? What was that beast mindset transformation for you? How did it happen?
it it's such a magical thing, and I think you kind of went in and through the same way. Like we went into the physical, right? We started to get physically strong, then we do the nutrition, and then we get to the spiritual, and it's like when I realized there's this energetic body and I am the energetic body and the divine, because I also study yoga and Reiki and the chakras. And it was like, whoa, I am literally sending out into the universe what I want to come back to me. And having that awareness, it's like, oh no, I just want good. That's why I said I'm bringing Jersey love to you today. I just want love and peace and all those good things. So I try and always catch myself,
Yeah.
and I once I feel my energy is coming down, I know that I'm thinking something I shouldn't, and so then I'm very grateful to have that connection and to study the law of attraction and universe and energy and just putting out there what you want for the world and for yourself. And when you truly do it, I call it looking for proof. The universe always sends you proof that you're on your path, and for me that's always been butterflies. So I see butterflies and I'm like, okay, I know I'm divinely guided. It's the divine reminding me I'm doing good, I'm on my path, and just to keep going for those moments of doubt, because we're human. We have those moments where we doubt ourselves. So just being connected is a beautiful thing when you can relax and trust the process of life.
And it's funny because I tell people that my closest friends, and I know they see me one way, but they don't realize you're right. I still get caught up in the emotional vibration of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't think the way I do. And a lot of times I just get in my vehicle and I just drive. I go to a destination unknown. I just take my mind somewhere and try to re-inhabit that mindset. So what I'm seeing here, and I'm pretty sure you can validate for the people, that's probably one of the most difficult journeys because it's a never ending journey. I'm always learning and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always put with situations of either acting or reacting
Yeah.
to. With that being said, what are the most difficult parts of this journey for you? Is it the acting or reacting of situations?
um I would say probably both, or just the doubt that comes in. Because, like you said, it is something that we have to work on every day. And so every day I get up. Yes, this is the hardest thing to train every day, the staying connected and elevated. And so for me, it's like having that awareness so I don't react, that I can act and I can trust. And that has been and it's still hard. I'm not going to lie to the people. It's the hardest thing. It's like getting up, because you wake up some mornings, I know for me, and I'm like, ugh, I just don't feel like doing it today. I don't know if I have it in me today. And then I have those habits in place. I'm like, okay, I can do this today. I will do this today. I'm good. And so it is, it's like it's a never ending journey. But I say life is work and this is work. I'd rather do this work because this work feels good. I can get out of that spiral faster than not working on ourselves. And it's a constant, that's why I call it mind, body, soul training every day. We need to train it. It's like a beast, right? It has to be trained every day.
Have to know how to keep it tame too.
Yes.
So
Tame that beast.
my last question is pretty easy. Why the book? Why H3O method? Why? And what's this message to the people?
Well, I wanted, I had so many thoughts in my head and I wanted to reach more people than just I was at a time in my business where I was seeing so many people and I just was getting burnt out. I couldn't see as many people, but I saw the transformation that was happening in simple habit hacks. Literally teach people how to make change in less than 5 minutes a day. And so when I saw that, I was like, let me put all my thoughts into paper. And we created this book. And what I want for people is I want people to realize that change doesn't have to be this big ordeal that we make it to be. I think we get overwhelmed by all the things that we should be doing. I say shoulding on ourselves. It really comes down to one simple thing that you stay committed to every day. And that literally is how you change your life. I wrote this book with simply 5 minutes a day because the thought of writing was way overwhelming for me. I had no idea where to start, what to do, but I knew getting back to that running with the asthma, if I could break it down to something so simple that it was like a no brainer and I could do it every day, and I just stayed at it and I got the book and I healed from asthma.
What was the most difficult part of writing that book? Because that wasn't part of your, allure.
No,
So I don't want people to think you just sat down and in a couple of months here's the book. That was,
no,
and what was the most difficult part of that writing that book?
writing the book.
Mad at you again.
Yeah, honestly, the hard. I'm going to be brutal. I'm going to be honest. When I decided to, somebody said you should write a book, and I was like, "Are you crazy? I am not a writer. I train people. I no no no." And then it was like a seed was planted, right? That's how it happens. The seed gets planted, and I was like, "Well, all right. I could write down my concepts, I guess." And so I set a timer. First, I walked around my pool table. I'm like, "Are you kidding? I can't write a book, right? Here's the mind. I can't write a book. Yes, you can. Yes, you can." I'm talking myself off the ledge. Sit down, 5 minutes, Jen. I would put my phone on, start writing. And here's the beautiful thing when you start something, it starts to flow.
Yeah.
It just start. And so when I realized, I was like, oh, I just got to get people to start. And then everything flows. And that's even with fitness. I get people to do 1 minute of yoga. Now they're doing 20 minutes of yoga. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, it's too overwhelming, literally break what you want down into 1 minute or some simple task, because that, then here's the beautiful thing, the people that you need to get that task done show up in your life. The things that you need to learn come into your space, and it's this relaxing process in taking action that you get the results. And that is like the one gift that I've learned and that I love. And that has to comes back to the spirituality of trusting that I'm always guided.
It is. This is fortuitous because I tell people the same thing. I'm like, if you put it out there
Mm-hmm.
and you believe and you do, I tell people, they say, how do you be great? I say, greatness means consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It means doing the same thing over and over. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you get it right, you keep doing it.
Yeah.
But when you don't know something, if you put it out there and you have elevated your mind, body, mental, and spiritual, it'll show up.
Mm-hmm.
It'll show up. Yeah, I like the way you was able to take that beast mindset, and I like the metaphor how you talked yourself off of that mindset that I can't write a book. I can't. It
Mm-hmm.
said I could, and then
Mm-hmm.
it just started to flow. What should the person who reads your book look for as far as that beast mindset transformation, what should they look for special out of that book?
That they have everything that they already need right inside of them. It's their time to unlock the potential and live their best life, because we're only here one time, and I truly believe that we are gifted to have a healthy and happy life, and it doesn't have to be hard. Simple habit hacks, and that's what's in the book. Really simple habit hacks that you do one habit in the book, you're going to change your life. But the cool thing is there's a lot of habit hacks in the book.
And I'm not going to ask what they are. So they're going to get the book. How can they get the book?
Right now, so we're in pre-release. It's not even out to the public yet. They can go to my website, jennifervinges.com, and they can purchase it right from my website right now, and they'll get a signed copy, and they'll also get my free Jumpstart to Change program. It's a journal prompt program. And then come December 30th, it's getting launched out to the bookstore, so they can look for it then. But grab it on my website. You get a personal copy signed by me.
Sounds like a winner. Guys, make sure you subscribe, like, share, click, follow. Click that button. All it takes is one click. Before we leave, is there a website that somebody can reach out to you again to get these books and know more about you on social media? Give us that information too.
It's jennifervinges.com.
That's simple. That's a Jersey person for you. Simple. I
I
like
gotta keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, make sure you subscribe, like, share, click that button. All it takes is one click to make a difference in your life or change somebody else's. This has been another, and I do mean another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.